With all the moves. Sorry about that, y'all. We're getting off to a great start this morning. With all the moves the Saints have made on offense and free agency, does that mean the odds are shifting towards them taking a defensive player in the first round? If so, which players would be the top targets? Know.com Saints editor Zach Ewing is here to give us the lowdown on a Wednesday. What's he doing here on a Wednesday? A Wednesday. He'll also give us his best takes for potential upsets in the NCAA bracket and whether LSU could be that team on the women's side. Then lastly, there's a special birthday in Datland, and he'll share part of his day with us as we celebrate the year he was born so many years ago. We'll also send him a Dat Parka so he can get through the afternoon without freezing to death. The heater's on full blast, and so is the Dattitude. The podcast, I mean, and it's up next.
Ready to hear the straight scoop on local and national sports? It's time for Jim Derry's take on the Saints, LSU, what betting lines to ponder, and more. He's got opinions, he's got insight, and he's got Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? The groundhog was proven right once again, and for that we say thank you. Before our little prickly friend goes away until next Friday, we'll dedicate this show to him on Dattitude, episode number 485, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, March the 18th, 2026. In case you're new here, I'm the guy who obviously can't be a producer and a show host all at the same time. I'm Jim Derry. 35 and a half years in the New Orleans sports media scene. We thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Welcome to the Dat family. If you're new, you're going to have a lot of fun today. We got so many things to talk about. And you know what? I'm going to start out by doing something I didn't do until too late last time. And that's thank our Dattitude members. As you see them rolling across the screen, all of our Dattitude members are on the scroll. You get that as part of your membership, along with access to our Slack channel and all kinds of cool stuff. And we're gonna have some more cool stuff coming up as we go forward here. We thank you for being here. What's on today's show? Zach Ewing is coming up on a Wednesday. That's right, a Wednesday. We've kind of just blew this whole week to smithereens. Larry Holder, our old friend, is going to be here on Friday. So Zach's coming on today. He is recording the LSU Insiders podcast as we speak. He should be on about 11:30. We're going to talk Saints. We're going to talk LSU women's basketball a little bit. We're going to talk about maybe some of his top upsets for the bracket, because I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm going to be as honest as I can be. It's the only thing I know how to be, and that is that I haven't paid any attention at all whatsoever. I will watch the tournament. I'll probably make little bets here and there. It starts tomorrow morning, but I'm not even doing a bracket this year. I've decided I'm not doing a bracket. This is the second year. I think I did one last year, but I think 2 years ago I didn't. So I know this is the second time, and since probably like 1984 that I didn't do it. Maybe even before that, because I did them in high school. So probably since like 1982. This is only the second time since like 1982 that I didn't do a bracket. I can't get into it. I tried to. I thought about it, but I didn't do it. What about y'all? Who's doing a bracket out there? Who's not doing a bracket? We'll talk about that later. But anyway, I know Zach's into it. We're going to get his opinions on that and just what he's thinking. All kinds of stuff coming up. Tomorrow's a special day. I will not be working tomorrow. Tomorrow, grandson number 3, little Brooks Bourgeois, is coming into the world. We're excited. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be crazy around here at the Derry household. So we're all getting ready for that tomorrow morning. He should be with us and fired up. We'll show you some pictures on Friday's show. Looking forward to that. And then before we get to the business of the day, I also just wanted to let y'all know that many of you know that I'm also a play-by-play announcer for a company called Varsity Sports Now here in Southeast Louisiana area, VSN. Louisiana was formed 7 years ago. They have now expanded a little bit. The founder of the company, Eric Ritchie, he's moved to Florida. He's starting a VSN out in Florida, VSN Space Coast. So since he's moved out there, I'm going to help out a little bit more around here in the New Orleans area and across the state of Louisiana. And we're going to do some written stories at VSN. I'm excited about that. I'm taking a larger role with Varsity Sports now, and that started yesterday. I went out and covered St. Thomas Aquinas and Pope John Paul baseball yesterday, and they had a special event. They were honoring St. Thomas Aquinas. Anyone that's around here that knows anything about prep sports probably knows the name Cole Catalano, who tragically passed away at such a young age, 37 years old. 20 months ago, he died of brain cancer, and he was his last baseball. He coached for a couple teams around the metro area, but last coach for St. Thomas Aquinas, brought them to the state championship game in his final game as a high school head coach in 2022. And so the Falcons were honoring him last night. So it was kind of a combo coverage of the game itself and them honoring Coach Catalano. And I saw his brother Chad and his family and Mr. Wayne, his dad, and got to spend some time out there and give them a hug and a hello. And Chad threw out the first pitch last night. So it was kind of a cool scene. But also, again, wanted to announce that I'm going to be taking a larger role at VSN. So check them out. If you like high school sports at all, varsity sports now, so many things going on at VSN. And I'm going to be doing more written stories. I'm also going to be doing a lot of social media work for them, putting up some highlights and different things on their social media page. So that's starting right now, and I'm excited about it. All right, to business this morning. Let's start with the World Baseball Classic. Now, I know that a lot of you watched it last night, and not just last night. I'm going to say this. I know I watched more of this World Baseball Classic than any of the others. In fact, I might have watched more of this one than the others combined. I never really got into it all that much until this year. And I started watching it from the beginning, and I thought it was fantastic. Between the story of the Cinderella Italians and Venezuela, winning the whole thing last night over the Americans who just couldn't hit the baseball. But another part of the story is I think a lot of people didn't think the Dominicans could be beat or the Japanese. I think everyone thought it was going to be a DR versus Japan final. I know I did. And they were both upset. And look, just this whole tournament, Italy not only winning their pool play, beating the United States, but moving on and beating Puerto Rico and advancing to the semifinals. Just every game seemed to have you at the edge of your seat. There were so many close games. They were fantastic. Last night, the Americans, Bryce Harper hadn't done jack the entire series, really, the entire classic. And then last night hits a 2-run homer to tie the score 2. And then the Venezuelans come back, and for some unknown reason, Mark DeRosa decided he didn't need to put his closer in. I mean, you wouldn't want your closer in a tie game for the championship in a 2-2 game. Anyway, lots of things that Mark DeRosa did that I think that people were questioning. I mean, he had nothing to do with the fact that Aaron Judge couldn't hit his way out of a wet paper bag when the games mattered. I mean, he hit a home run in one of the earlier games, and he just kind of disappeared. And last night, hitters in the order 3 through 7 were 0 for 17. That'll do it almost every time. In total, the United States had 3 hits last night. They struck out 10 times, and they just couldn't hit. Look, don't get me wrong. The Venezuelan pitchers were outstanding. They did a great job, but in the end, you got to be able to hit the baseball. And so, DeRosa screwed up. There were some funny memes, by the way. Some just between Judge and DeRosa memes. The meme world had it going on last night, and I certainly enjoyed it. Gabe says he couldn't use Mason Miller. That's not the way that I understood it. Padre said he could only pitch in a safe situation. I know that was the situation for Valencia, who came in last night in a safe situation. That's not the way I understood it with Mason Miller, but maybe it is the case. It's not that big of a deal. That's not the reason why Mark DeRosa had a bad coaching performance. There were several things that he did that were just questionable at best. Let's just put it that way. But again, I will say this in DeRosa's defense. It really doesn't matter how you manage a baseball game if no one's hitting the baseball. I mean, a lot of people wondering why Gunnar Henderson wasn't playing last night. And he had a good series. But, people were questioning Pete Crow Armstrong till he had the huge game. What was it? Was it in the quarterfinals? So, I mean, Anyway, I thought overall it was a fantastic tournament. You can let me know what you think in the chat because I'm about to get to the chat in just a minute. But I got two more quick things. If y'all want to talk about Ty Chandler this morning, I'm sure we'll be talking about that with Zach Ewing. Got some numbers up for him, and he signed for league minimum. Gabe, thinks he's not going to make the team. I actually think he will. I don't think you sign a guy like that unless you think he's going to make the team. He's going to be 28 years old this year. He's entering his 5th season. He had a pretty big injury last year, though. In fact, I had it up. He had a knee injury. I think he got hurt in the first week of the season, and then he missed 14 weeks, and he ended up coming back last couple of weeks and played. But because the 2 seasons before that, he played in all 17 games. In the 2023 season, he was a 5th round draft choice of the Minnesota Vikings, the 169th overall pick in the 22 draft. He's played in 40 career NFL regular season games. He's 5'11", 205. Ding. And let's see. He has nearly 1,000 yards of total offense in his career. Has never fumbled the ball. There's your jinx. But he's mainly a special teams contributor. The Saints need a special teams contributor. We'll see. What is this? Does it mean anything in the way? Does it mean anything in the Alvin Kamara saga? Which is it really a saga because no one's really saying anything? We'll ask Zach what he thinks about whether he thinks that Alvin Kamara is coming back or not. The restructured deal is really friendly for both sides. If the Saints want to cut him or AK doesn't want to come back, it's friendly to be able to do that. It doesn't hit you that hard. So we'll see. Again, that's something we're going to talk about with Zach in a little bit. But speaking of dead cap, before I get to the comments, how about the Miami Dolphins dead cap? They traded. It's not really breaking news, but they traded Jalen Waddle yesterday. Jalen Waddle and a 4th round draft pick for the Broncos for their 1st, 3rd, and 4th round pick. I mean, they are now 100. Let's see, where is it? I want to make sure I get this right before I say this. $175 million over the cap. That means they have $140 million. They're more over the cap than they have available to spend. It's insane. Okay, I'll put you in real quick, but we got to get rolling. What you got?
Yeah, I just got one quick fact for you regarding this, actually. The Dolphins are paying more for players to not play for this team this year, as you mentioned,
exactly
$175 million, than the Marlins have paid players to play for them over the past 2 years, $168 million. So there you go. There's your fun little nugget. Absolutely
insane. And you wonder how teams let themselves get into this kind of mess, but they do. And you would think it gets general managers fired, but apparently not always, because we've seen that it didn't get one fired here. Who knows? Anyway, all right, see you in a bit. To Gabe's point, by the way, you want to hear some of their dead cap hits? Tua, $50 million plus, actually. This is according to Adam Schefter. Tyreek Hill, $28.2 million. Waddle now $26.3 million that the Dolphins are on the hook for. Broncos only have to take $5 million of a cap hit for him. Jalen Ramsey, $20.9 million. Minka Fitzpatrick, $13 million. Bradley Chubb, $10.9 million. And Teron Armstead, $10.7 million. That's just some of them. There are others besides it. I mean, here's the thing. We talked about this all the time and kicking the can and whatever. And you hope the Saints have learned their lesson. The grand scheme of things, Saints aren't that much better. I mean, they aren't the worst anymore, but they still aren't good. Saints have $114 million in dead cap. Think about that for a minute. More than a third of your cap room is being spent on players that aren't on your football team. I mean, how do you let it get like that? So, look, we keep it real here. Okay, and some people don't like. I had somebody get mad because I used the term dumbass, and how dare you call someone a dumbass? Well, if you're a dumbass, I'll call you a dumbass. We haven't had a dumbass of the week in a while. Anyway. But you make mistakes, we're going to talk about them. I mean, that's who we are. And look, I tell you this all the time. You cannot give someone all the grief without talking about when things are good, give them praise. So we're giving praise to Mickey Loomis right now. What Mickey Loomis has done over the course of the past year, does it excuse what happened for 4 or 5 years? Well, I mean, you can understand that at least 5 years ago, when the Saints were, whatever you want to call it, pushing the ball forward to try to win when they could, doing whatever they could with Drew Brees' contract and others. Okay. But it set them back. And honestly, again, I'm going to give him credit because it now has set them back not quite as far as I thought it would. I didn't think the Saints would be in this position right now. They've had 2 really good drafts, hoping to have a third. We're going to talk about potential draft possibilities again today with Zach coming up. But, it's next year it should be great as far as cap space. But to get into a situation where you have $114 million in dead cap space, and that's partially because Lance's friend Derek Carr gave back to this team. $36.7 million still, though, in dead cap money. $18.8 million at Cam Jordan if he doesn't re-sign and restructure. $18.8. $14.3 million at Demario Davis is now a New York Jet. $13.7 to Taysom Hill unless he re-signs and restructures, was I highly doubt. $12 million to Ryan Ramczyk. $7.2 to Tyrann Mathieu, who retired last year. I mean, you get yourself in these positions because you think, and look, they have restructured contracts in different ways this year. I wish they had learned this sooner because they might not be in the boat that they're in. But still, overall, you wonder how the Dolphins could possibly get themselves in the situation that they're in because it's an absolute mess. The Dolphins are an absolute mess, and that's why their over-under win total right now is, I think it's 4.5. And I'm not betting on it. I'm not betting. Look, we've seen it all the time. And I mean, I guess Gabe could look this up if you have the time and want to. But the last 3 or 4 years, teams that have an over-under of 4.5, I think they usually go under, right? Don't they? I don't know. I guess we'll. I'll tell you this: if somebody has a 4.5, I can't say never, but I'm hardly ever going to bet an over on a team that has a 4.5. I'm either staying away from it or I'm betting the under. We saw the Cardinals a couple years ago; they were 4.5. I think the Titans are 4.5 this past year. I mean, you can't bet on a team that's 4.5. There's a reason why they're 4.5. And look. The Dolphins, will they get better in the long run? Yeah, probably, but they're in just a no-win situation. And I mean, they're just not. And Malik Willis, look, he's going to get paid, but he's in a no-win situation. All right, about to get to the comments in the chat, but let me do before we get to that. You know what's special about our show, and we're about to show you. If you're new to the show, what we do here is you talk to us and we talk back to you. That is a huge chunk of what we do on the show. We love having not just our regulars, we love newcomers as well. If you're watching and you would like to be a part of the show, you can comment whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. We will show it on the screen and comment, see what you have here. And if you like what you see and you've been around for a little bit and you want to help this independent sports journalist turned host monetarily, then become a member. We would love for you to become a member. We showed you the Dattitude members, or you can just give us you can, if you would like to and consider it, give us a super chat, super sticker, whatever it is, however they want to call it. If you want to talk to me after the fact, you'd find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or email me, jim@jimderry.com. I always respond unless you're just absolutely silly. Even then I usually respond, but maybe a little snarkiness involved. Zach Ewing coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Before we get to the rest of the show and our comments, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you, someone you know, someone you love, someone you just want to help, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. From there, you will be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that, we'll tell you. We'll fill you in. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also check out my friend, we certainly wish you would, Joe DiStefano. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all, and with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. Let's get on with the show. I'm sure there's going to be mostly Saints comments, but if not, that's okay. We will put up a Saints slide. And you know what? Let's see. Let's put this one. Let's put this slide up. The newest, the most updated win totals if you're watching live or if you're watching after the fact. If you cannot see them and you are listening to the pod, the audio only pod, Falcons, Panthers, Saints over under of 7.5, but the Saints are second in the odds because their over has jumped up to minus 115. You got to bet $115 to win $100. $100, 115 to win 100. The under is 105, but the Falcons actually their numbers have gone up. They're back to being closer to 6.5 than they are to 7.5. Even though for some reason they keep them at 7.5. I guess they just don't want anyone to bet on their under because it's minus 150 on the under 7.5. Panthers are now 7.5. They moved up from 6.5, and the Bucs have gone to even money at 8.5. They were basically at 9. They were tilted heavily towards the over-under. Very quickly, Gabe, what you got for me?
So over the past 3 years, there have been 4 teams that opened up with over-unders of 4.5 wins.
Okay.
The 2025 Browns, the 2025 Saints, the 2024 Patriots, and the 2023 Cardinals. They went 2-2. The Browns and the Saints last season went over. The Patriots in 24 and the Cardinals in 23 went under.
Thank you for that, sir. Appreciate it. I will say that the Saints are a little misleading because they were some books they were 5.5, and that 4.5 was sort of tilted. So, but yes, I mean technically they were 4.5. I didn't touch that with a stick. I know a lot of people went over. In fact, I told y'all I'd already screwed up and bet the over 6.5 the day before Derek Carr, and I would have been better off. David Carr was on the team, probably. Derek Carr retired, whatever. The other Carr brother. You know what I mean. All right, super chat time. Chat time. Who's first? You know who's first? Earl's picks first with a super chat. Thank you so much, Earl. Congrats on the grandbaby. Much appreciated. Little Brooks Bourgeois will be here tomorrow morning, scheduled to be born at 8:30 a.m. We are fired up. And it is going to be a rocking household. We'll be kind of shuffling back and forth between the hospital. It's going to be a great day tomorrow. Rocky, good morning. Hump day. It is a hump day. He was happy about the World Baseball Classic. Not a U.S. win, but Venezuela was well-deserving. Absolutely true. Also, Rocky says that he thinks number 8 will still be offense. We'll see. We'll see what everybody else says. UBN's in the green room typing comments. Jerry's here. Good morning, Dattitude family. S. Callie, good morning. Earl's picks also talking about hump day. Phil Marianti, good morning. Brian says yes, defense at 8. Hope you're wrong, Brian. Hope our title slide's wrong. Definitely. I'm going to ask Zach what he thinks because I could be wrong. You know, maybe it is going to be Mansour Lane. You know, it's going to be, with all the talk now about Love maybe moving into the top 4 or 5, I'm still not buying it. But if it happens, then that pushes one of those players. I mean, obviously, we Captain Obvious this morning, but it pushes one of those players that might have previously thought to go in the top 5, maybe pushes them down to the Saints, like a Reuben Bain. If a Reuben Bain slips to the Saints, I mean, just think about it. Maybe a month or so ago, I mean, he looked to me like a surefire top 5 guy. Caleb Downs, was he a surefire top 5 guy? Does he move down? Does he fall to the Saints? I would much rather see the Saints get a guy like that and maybe move Sanker. I don't know what they have planned. I think they have their plans. It's still early. We still got over a month until the draft. Lots of chances to decide what to do. Chad Gage is here. Hello there, sir. Jerry, we told you hello. Nathan Thomas, good morning. Welcome. Mark Gapsky is here. Good morning. Ryan Ashe is here. Good morning. The YouTube alert for the show got you with the title. Well, that means I finally did something right. I am trying to figure out how to get you with a title. I appreciate that. We're working on it. Let's see what else we got here this morning. Dylan Smith did a girls bracket only because his daughter's high school basketball coach, or is it your daughter's high school? Is it your baseball coach or basketball coach made them? And she wanted dad's help. Yeah. I'll probably, look. One thing is, even the year that I didn't do no matter whether I did a bracket or not, no matter how much, and I know a lot of you feel the same way that I do, is even if you don't get into it all that much, you still watch the thing. It's still one of the greatest sports events. The entire 3 weeks of it, it's one of the greatest sports events of the year. It is. And just because I know nothing doesn't mean I won't be watching. Now, again, tomorrow I don't know how much I'm gonna be watching with the baby being born, but we'll see. Jerry watched Final Bet on Monday with Juan Kincaid. It actually came out last Thursday. You must have watched it on the Gulf Sports. What is it? Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. They replay the show multiple times, and I was the guest last week. Thank you, Jerry. I go on about once every 6 weeks. It used to be a little bit more than that. But I think they've expanded their kind of rotation of guests. In the last, Garland had asked me to go on the 2 weeks prior, like back-to-back weeks. But the 1 week I was sick, and then the next week I had some stuff going on. I couldn't go. So, yeah. All right. What else we got going on here this morning? We got, I don't remember. Have you been on before, Ricky? If you're new, we appreciate you being here. If you're not new, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Ricky Cutchall? Is it Cutchall? He says he doesn't have a preference on what direction they go at 8. He believes the leadership has a plan and is excited to see it unfold. I agree. I think that there's probably a plan in the locker room. Now, I don't think at this point in time there's necessarily one target that they have in mind. I don't think that they're going to, and maybe they won't have one target going in the draft. Obviously, they're going to have their rankings. If this person falls, that's who they're going to get, and so on. But I do think that I think that if you ask them and were able to get the truth out of them, like you got in a room and they were forced to answer the question, which obviously they're never going to be forced to answer the question. But I truly believe that they probably know whether they're going to draft offense or defense. If I would bet that they know. Ryan also says DeRosa should have started Gunner and PCA over Bergman and Bucks. And I'm going to get this right eventually. Sorry, I'm getting alerts that are kind of trying not to take my attention as I look at this. Bregman and Buxton should have started Gunner and PCA over Bregman and Buxton. Yeah, maybe. Buxton hadn't done anything, and Gunner and PCA were the hot guy. So, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. That's for sure. Earl wants to know, do I think that Chandler signing is another sign Kamara's not coming back? I almost made that the title slot today before I kind of changed my mind and said, let's go. Look, Gabe could be right. Maybe Chandler doesn't make this team. I think he does. Look, they signed up for the league minimum, so it's no skin off their nose. And Zach's texting me, it's going to need another 5 to 10 minutes, which is fine because we have plenty to talk about here. let me reach back out to him. I just think that even though it's easy, I think this is a sign that they are shifting away from Alvin Kamara. I don't know if that means he won't be on the team or not. I don't think this signing necessarily pushes Kamara to the cut line. I don't think that's what this does because, I mean, let's face it, Ty Chandler is going to be, if anything, it would mean it's a battle between him, maybe an Audric Estime to see who gets that fourth or fifth, whatever final running back spot they have. I think that if Alvin Kamara really wants to come back, I mean, if he truly, really, his heart's in it, wants to go, I'm not sure his heart's in it, man. When you hear nobody comment, and I said this the other day, and I know I got some pushback from a few people, but I said this the other day. You don't hear any talk inside of that room, outside of that room, from anyone that matters about Alvin Kamara. You just don't. You're not hearing from Alvin Kamara himself, and you haven't heard Kellen Moore. At least I'm still waiting for someone to send me something that I may have missed. If I missed it, please send it to me. But I have yet to hear Kellen Moore say, Alvin Kamara is absolutely part of our plans in 2026. He hasn't said it. Again, if he has and I missed it, please show it to me. Sure, they've made the deal. The restructure of the deal has made it easy to keep him. Well, I'm going to say easy, relatively. It's easy to keep him, and it's easy to cut him. Either way. Earl also says the way Moore replied to the question about Kamara coming back was just weird. He's under contract. So why wouldn't you say, yeah, he's under? That's kind of my point, Earl. But I really think the ball is in Kamara's court. That's my opinion. And I think they're going to make sure that his heart is, look, you got to be sold. You got to want to play. I mean, we keep talking about this over and over again. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. And I know there are some people who think Kamara can still be the Kamara of old. He can't. He's not going to be the Kamara of old. He is not the running back one on this team. Whether he comes back or doesn't come back, whether my pipe dream of Jeremiah Love coming and joining this team with Travis Etienne is a possibility or not, probably not. But it doesn't matter. No matter, maybe they go get some other running back early in the draft. Maybe not in the first round. Maybe they use a second or third round pick or running back to pair with Etienne. I don't know what they're going to do. But again, until I hear Alvin Kamara say, I want to be back, or Kellen Moore say, Alvin Kamara is absolutely part of this team, I can't be confident that he's going to be part of the team. Again, that's coming up definitely with Zach. We'll definitely be talking about that. Adam Varner, sorry you're late. You're here. It's all good. Father Steve says, good morning. He thinks the Saints are better than 7.5 wins this year. Cautiously optimistic for a division-winning season. I'll give you my prediction probably shortly after, or at least my preliminary prediction, shortly after I see how the schedule shakes out. Because, again, we told you last year, the way the schedule is set up has a huge impact on wins and losses, right? Obviously. Now, you got to play the same opponents no matter how you play them, when you play them, whatever. And I know some people believe that, but I don't. We told you last year, the Saints were set up to have a horrendous early start, and they did. I mean, they went 2-10, and Tyler Shuck, sure, let them out of the abyss in a 6-win season, and everyone feels great. Yeah, no doubt. But at the same time, is Tyler Shuck going to be able to keep that momentum? And this schedule is much tougher. You're going to go through that stretch they had in the beginning of the season last year that was brutal, the first 4 games. You're going to have more than one of those stretches this coming year. It's not, you're going to have, when's the losing streak going to come? Because they're going to have a when I say losing streak, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to lose 4 or 5 games in a row. They may or may not. But when you look at that schedule and you put those ugly games together, how are they going to navigate that schedule? Who are they going to upset, I guess? Who are they going to be? Remember last year when they went in the season, they were only favored against one team going into the season? That won't be the case this year. But there's a reason why they're at 7.5. They're not going to be favored in a majority of their games. Again, let me see the schedule first. Then we'll be talking more about it. I'll put it on the screen so you can see it because maybe you think there's value somewhere now. If you think the Saints, because look, you know what this number suggests to me, by the way? I think the Saints may end up getting an 8.5. It's possible. They're at minus 115 now, up from even money, which hasn't moved all that much in the grand scheme of things, but I think it's possible the Saints get to 8.5. I'm not touching them either way, most likely. Apathy says the Dolphins made one of the most questionable hires at head coach he's seen in a long time. Come on, man. That's NFL random drug testing bad. I don't know, man. You know what I think about the Dolphins and their past coaching situations. Have they had a real coach since, let's see, what's the last really good coach that they had? I don't know. I'd have to go back. Gabe, who's the last really good coach the Dolphins had? McDaniel. I said, when's the last good coach? Coach Gucci sucks, dude. When's the last good coach that they had? I don't know. Well, we'll see. Just the Dolphins have been, if you think about teams that all the good teams they had and over the course of the past, since they were the great Dolphins of the 70s. Think about, and that's a long time. I mean, I was a kid. Think about the Dolphins, and I know I have a lot of friends who are Dolphins fans. But what seriously? If you had 5 most underachieving, most disappointing NFL franchises over the past, I don't know, 45 years, wouldn't the Dolphins be in there? I guess they could, they had a couple good seasons, but I mean, Dan Marino, is there a bigger disappointment than Dan Marino not winning a Super Bowl? Gabe says they had Todd Bowles for a few games. They had Nick Saban. They had Jimmy Johnson. Underachieved. Just like Hart says, Jimmy Johnson. I didn't mean the U. Yeah, he did coach both the U and he coached the Dolphins. He didn't coach the Dolphins for very long. USA Drone Flyer says Kamara is out. I think USA Drone Flyer, it's certainly starting to look that way, doesn't it? It really is. Scott Claymore, what's up? What's up is it's hump day, and Zach Ewing's going to be on any minute now. UBN wants to know, she can't pop that kid out today? Well, let me ask her. Well, let's call. You want to call her and ask her, can she pop? We could do that on the air so she could have the same birthday as a certain regular on this show. Let me ask her that. I'm sure she would love for me to ask that question. Ryan says, wide receiver, defensive end, or a cornerback may be down. So for us at 8, wide receiver is Tate only. Other than Tate, it's defense. I disagree. I think there are multiple options other than Tate. I think there are 2 or 3 receivers. We'll talk about them with Zach in a little bit. And I'm telling you, I know I'm in the vast minority, the mucho minority, but if Love's available at 8, I don't see how you pass him up. I don't. Whether the Saints do or not, I don't. Now, Gabe told you the other day that Love's odds, and I don't know if they changed or not, but Love's odds to go to the Saints were plus 1,800, which means 18-1. And that's probably because they don't think he's going to make it to 8, which he may or may not. I still think there's a decent chance he's going to make it to 8. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put this slide up. I mean, we know he's not going in the top 3 unless there's a trade. I think the only 3 options that he goes to, I think Titans, small chance. I don't think he goes to the Titans, even though I know there's a lot of mocks that have him going to 4. I think the best odds are probably Giants or Commanders if I had to pick. Saints now plus 3,000. That big Ty Chandler signing changed everything. I'm still not sure, man. we'll see how it shapes up. Ricky also says he doesn't have I showed that one already. I'm sorry. Went back too far. Every time I go between tabs here, it moves my messages around, and I gotta go back and find where I was. Brian S. Steve says, doesn't Ty Chandler return kicks? Yes, he does. In fact, he has returned 15 career kickoffs for an average of 25.7 yards per return. He also had 9 special teams tackles. So yes, he does. So I think I don't think it really has an impact on Kamara. I think, UBN, do not bring that animal on the set. For Christ's sake. I'm serious. Dude. I got to woosah for a second. You almost got me to say the F word again. Anyway. I think it means the end for Dante Pettis. Gabe, look up. Did Dante Pettis sign anywhere else yet? What's his status? Look that up for me. Brian says Chandler's we haven't even talked about Kendra Miller. That's funny, Brian Cabot. Chandler's a replacement for always heard Kendra Miller. I don't think Kendra Miller's coming back. I think that's what that means more than anything. I think Kendra Miller is going to be going. Again, I also think and Gabe's going to tell me the status of Dante Pettis because I don't know the answer. But I think that means the end of him. Right? Gabe says he can't find anything. I think Dante Pettis is probably going to be gone, right? Wouldn't you think? So that's what that tells me. So I think that Chandler makes the team. You get him at minimum. It is what it is. Mark, are we either one of us baseball, football card collectors? I can't speak for Gabe, but I am not. However, Larry Holder, who writes about baseball and football card collecting now, that would certainly be a topic of conversation on Friday. It won't be the lead topic, but of course we're going to let Larry Holder, the Athletic, who covers that, talk about it a little bit. Nola Rebel is surprised we didn't do a Dattitude bracket contest. It's funny you mentioned that because Gabe was talking about that we were talking about that off camera before we got started. He says that there's enough interest, he still will do one, even though it's the day before, as he says there. A couple more comments. Zach's in the green room. Earl says he feels like the Saints have made it to 100% where the ball's in Kamara's court. I mean, again, you haven't heard from Alvin Kamara, have you? I haven't. Maybe I missed it. I'll ask Zach if I've just missed it. Christopher Crump, let's just keep getting young and win. We can win this year. Great show today. Thank you, Christopher. We appreciate you. Larry Bro, good morning. Most current draft projections have Love and Carnell Tate before the Saints pick at 8. The Saints have wisely positioned themselves to be flexible at 8. Depends on who falls. I mean, they're certainly going to be flexible now. S. Callie, first time LSU girls are a 2 seed going to the tourney since Coach Mulkey got here. I guess so. I guess they were 3 when they won the national championship, weren't they? Jeff Haspel, congrats on the grandson. Thank you so much, Jeff. I much appreciate that. Hart Pisani says Brian Flores was a good coach who got a raw deal. I don't think so, Hart. I don't agree with you. Jeff says Don Shula was the last one. I hear you, and he'll get another chance someday, but I'm not on the Brian Flores boat. We'll see. Hart also says no O-lineman unless they offer Joe DiStefano-like protection. That's the way to get a sponsor in there. That's the way you can make sure you get yourself another comment. Hart. By the way, check out Hart's podcast, In the Heartland, I believe is the name of it. I listened to the first episode. I don't know if you have another one out or not, but check them out. A couple others real quick. My friend Barry's here. Good morning. Just his opinion, but the quote office that is running the Saints can't be fans or emotional about players that want to be here. They should treat this as a business. Amen. And I think they're doing that, honestly. I think that they have shown that they're doing that. Mal says Kamara's washed up, time to move on. Very well could be. All right. Let's bring him in. It's weird. It's weird Wednesday. You're not usually here on a Wednesday. but you are this week, and we're going to make the best of it. Zach Ewing, everybody.
What's up, man? You want to talk about Travis Etienne's name?
I knew. How did I know you were going to bring
up.
that up? I knew you were going to bring that up right off the bat because
I think I got a golf tee in my pocket.
Pots.
That's right. You want to know my take on it, though?
Hold on. Breaking news. Breaking news. AT&T has changed their name to FXY.
AT&T.
No,
here's my take on it. Part of the problem is Adam Schefter. Okay. Adam Schefter tweeted out during Travis Etienne's press conference on Friday that it was pronounced Achan, Aychan. That is not what Travis said. Travis said Etienne.
Okay,
which is
that's right. Then.
What you've been saying is it's Etienne, right? It's
fair
Etienne,
enough. That's fair. That's fair.
If you take Etienne and you mash it together, you say it fast, maybe throw in a little Cajun accent, it becomes
absolutely.
Etienne. That's what he's saying. Okay, he's not saying that it's Achan. That's like Adam Schefter mutilating somehow what
a non-Louisianian, right?
So I think that's what happened here, and it's kind of like a game of telephone. And all of a sudden now we're saying, oh, it's Achan. No, it's Etienne. Okay. And I think the problem was people started calling him ETN, and he was saying how he didn't correct them after a while because he was in South Carolina and then he was in Jacksonville and no one really knew how to say it. So it's okay, fine, say ETN. It's Etienne, which if you say fast enough and then with a little bit of a Cajun flair, it's Etienne. So that's
I'm going to go with that. That I can go with. So here we are. You helped solve a problem here in Dat. I did not see that part of it. I just read all this stuff and I should have gone and looked. That makes complete sense because you're right. Cajuns speak very quickly. And
now we got to work on you with Brian Brzee is the next one we got to work on you with.
Yeah, I just messed that one up. I don't do that on purpose. I just mess it up. That's not intentional. That's just UBN says Schefter calls boudin sausage.
Exactly. He doesn't know. Or he would call it boudin or something. Yeah, I mean
boudin. All right. What did you think? But before we real quick, we got UBN in the green room. He's coming on for his birthday. It's also Sean's birthday. Do you have your dog with you on your lap, Sean? It aligns with great history fact of the day. Well, we'll see. Is your Dat Date, Alana? We got all kinds of facts in Dat Date later on, by the way. We'll see if it aligns with Sean's birthday. All right. Before we get started this morning, Zach, what did you think about the World Baseball Classic?
Oh, fantastic. Great
really
fun.
Was.
Also kind of reminds you of why baseball doesn't do single elimination in the playoffs because it's just so random. I mean, one game, swing of the bat, one bad bounce, one bad call, as we saw in the semifinals, it takes on so much more meaning. And so I'm glad that baseball's postseason is not single elimination, but man, for March, when you're kind of starved for baseball, and I know you and I are baseball guys, and when you're just waiting for opening day, you're like, give me a 2.5-week tournament or a 2-week tournament of single elimination and seeing all of the different countries flair and how they have fun with it and stuff and how much it means to them. Really cool. And I was rooting for the Americans, but I was really happy to see Venezuela and the way they reacted to that victory too.
I wish there was a way to do at least the 3-game championship series. I know that Major League Baseball would probably balk at it. And as some of my fellow Cubs fans were pissed off that, Seiya got hurt and he may miss some time, may start the season in the IL because he played in this. But for the most part, it's absolutely worth it. And I really, and I said this earlier, but I got into it more this year than I think I've ever gotten into it. It was so between the Italians with all their, all their stuff going on and, surprising Venezuelans and the DR losing and Japan losing, which was kind of shocking, and just all kinds of stuff going on. So anyway, I thought it was great.
It was fun, and it got us right. It got us right to the eve of the NCAA tournament. So as a sports fan, you're just like, all right, I don't have to, I can roll right into the tournament now.
Brian Russell will be happy that you corrected me, and now will get me to say Chen. Or is it Chen?
I mean, I think Etienne is still right. Proper, but if you want to give it that little flair and you speed it up and say Etienne, then
he was getting
more
a
power
little
to you.
mad at me last week because he didn't like my take on the whole thing. But he also says he wants you to tell us something good that segues in right to where we're going. Got the draft numbers up. The Saints pick 8th. Where do you think, as of we stand? Obviously, we still have over a month to go before we get to the draft. But my title slide today, and I'll put it up for you real quick in case you missed it or anyone else missed it. But the title slide today is: are the Saints shifting gears, or have they begun this? Maybe they've already shifted. Not should be shifted gears. Maybe is the defensive player now on the forefront of the minds now that they've made all these moves on offense?
It's definitely possible. In fact, if I had to put money on offense or defense at this point, I'd probably pick defense just because I think I wouldn't be surprised by either, but I think it's probably a little better than 50-50 that we're talking defense just because of who will be available. And we talk quite a bit about this on the Saints Insider that I'm actually uploading to YouTube right now. So y'all can go check that out for more information. Jeff Duncan has some kind of insider nuggets that he has, that are worth listening to. But I think the long and the short of it is the Saints are not interested, we know, in a quarterback, and we don't think they're interested in an O-lineman. And of the top 7 picks before them, I think at least 2, Fernando Mendoza certainly, and then I think at least 1 O-lineman, maybe 2 go. And so if you look at it that way, that's only like 4 to 5 other picks that are going to be made before they pick. I think there are 6 to 8 players they really like in this draft. And so they're going to have their pick of 2 or 3 of those. And we'll see who they end up being. Is it Jeremiah Love? Could he fall still? Is it Caleb Downs? Is it David Bailey, Reuben Bain, Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon? Like all of those names, I think, are interesting to the Saints and interesting for the Saints. And I think they'll have their choice of 2 to 3 of those. Now, whether that comes down to a need or they just really like one guy over the other 2, I don't know what they would do at that point. But I think trading back is extremely unlikely. I don't think that they don't do that anyway, but I think they really are comfortable with where they're at. Yeah,
I agree. And look, the fact that they've had, and we can kind of merge this in, but the fact that they have had such a, in my opinion, fantastic offseason thus far, at least early free agency period, that helps them become more be able to be more flexible in the draft, Zach. I mean, when you sign an Etienne and an Edwards and an Ellis and a Fant and even a punter and, Ty Chandler to a much smaller degree yesterday. I mean, all these signings that they've done so far and re-sign Ridgeway, I think that it helps you become more flexible now.
It does. And I know I've heard you had the argument with people before about best player available or filling needs. They're in a good spot where they're drafting and with what they've done in free agency, where it could be kind of a mixture of the two. Again, you may have an O-lineman as your best player available. You're probably not taking him. But if it's any other position, I'm not seeing a lot that doesn't help the Saints. So you would be kind of checking both of those boxes by going with either the best or one of the best players available on your board and also filling a position of need, because what they need lines up with what's going to be available.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. By the way, Hart wants to know, is it pronounced Dattitude or Dattitude?
You should
Dattitude.
Dude,
Dattitude.
Paris week, it's got to be Dattitude for Paris week.
It is. I mean, I'm going to have to actually put the apostrophe in there, I think, when we get to
Can you buy a
Paris.
beret also? And
Dattitude. Oh, whatever. Brian wants to know, have the Saints talked with the running back from Arkansas, Mike Washington? Would they consider him as a later round guy? I think one possibility now, I mean, reality says that Jeremiah Love is probably out of the realm of possibility, whether he gets drafted earlier than 8 or whether the Saints would pass on him, which I think would be a huge mistake if he got the 8. But I think that still the Saints will probably be thinking running back in the draft, even though they have some solutions there.
I don't think it's impossible if they have Jeremiah Love really high on their board. Again, they probably have put themselves in a position where they can go best player available, and Jeremiah Love may be that. but he doesn't exactly fill a need anymore. I think pretty clearly, to me, your number one far and away need that you have to address in some sort of way, and it doesn't have to be at number 8, but you have to address it in some sort of way, is that slot corner, what they call the star position. You have to. It's the one spot where you don't really have a starting caliber player available to put there. You just don't. And then number 2 is kind of a tie for me between edge rusher and wide receiver, where you kind of have starters, but you don't have those are spots where you want to rotate guys in. You don't really have the depth to rotate quality players in. So those are kind of tied for second. And then running back would be behind that, just because you have Etienne and you have, you still have the young guys, Devin Neal and Kendry Miller, and who knows what's up with him and what's up with AK, but you still have bodies, and Etienne looks like he's a starter. So to me, that's behind the other 3. But if Love is there and you really, really love Jeremiah Love, one bit of news that came out this week that opened my eyes was Travis Etienne's contract structure, because there's no guaranteed money after the first 2 years, none. So if you want to go get Love and he's clearly the guy and Etienne is just sort of in the background, you can cut bait with him after 2027. I don't think the Saints plan on doing that, but you could do that, and it opens the door for Love to be the long-term solution.
And that goes with what Brian and Scott Claymore are saying. If Love if Love is available and they pass, he'll have to rethink his fandom. He's a generational back. I absolutely agree that he's a generational back. And look, my opinion is this. My opinion means that whatever you want to spend for it, which is how much you have to spend on the show, and that's nada. But, I still think that the Saints are – I hear what you're saying. I don't deny that they need corner. I do think that it's something that they addressed early in the draft. I actually would rather them see, though, go out and get if they don't get Love, which obviously looking not up to 30-1 now. I would much rather them see go receiver, even if Tate's gone, whether it's Mekhi Lemon or whether it's Jordan Tyson. I know that's probably a little bit high to be drafting a Jordan Tyson, but I just think that it's 100% the number one priority in my opinion.
Tyson worries me because you've already got. And think about the Saints' top 4 receivers going into next year, or at least what we think are their top 4 receivers: Chris Olave, Devon Vele, Trey Palmer, and Jalen Polk. All four of them have missed significant time to injury within the past 2 seasons.
Absolutely.
So and so has Jordan Tyson. So that's where I'm like, I can't do it, man. You got too much uncertainty there. I need somebody who's been on the field and stayed on the field. Carnell Tate, perfect fit to me. I really like Mekhi Lemon. I don't know if the Saints would take him that high. And then wide receivers also a position to me that there will be options later. And again, I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but I would feel differently about it in the second round. Chris Bell of Louisville, a guy coming off of injury, but probably a first-round talent. You could throw him in that position, probably get him at number 40 in the second round. And maybe even later in the draft. And then there's also guys like Mason Tipton and Bub Means who have been around for a while. Could one of them make the leap? I don't think you want to rely on that, but it's at least possible.
Yeah, I hear you. And look, there's not necessarily, like you say, there are enough receivers to where if you decided to wait and go with it at 40, that's why, look, I don't feel, I've said this the last couple of weeks, since they made these moves in free agency, I'm sorry to disappoint some people, but if they draft defense with the 8th pick, I'm not going to go ballistic like I said I was going to do before because of the moves that they made, and they've addressed the top 2 needs that this team had. There's no question that it was running back and it was guard. They have addressed both of those needs now, so you got to feel a little bit different. You got to feel a little bit different. You got to be a little bit more flexible. Jeff wants to know if Kenyon Sadiq is there, the tight end from Oregon. In the second round, would he be one hell of a weapon? I don't think there's any way he's there in the second round. Do you?
It doesn't sound like it. There's always surprises. And it feels like we're close to the draft. Was it 5 weeks from tomorrow, I think? It feels like we're close. We're not actually that close. Things are going to change.
A lot of things change.
Go back and try to find a mock draft that was published in mid-March last year and compare it to not even what happened, just the mock drafts from the couple days before the draft, and everyone's opinion had changed on some guys. And then, of course, even those mock drafts are different from what actually ends up happening. So anything could happen. I don't see Sadiq as an option for the Saints simply because I think that they have other priorities at number 8, and I don't think he'll be there when they draft again, unless, and this is more of a possibility to me than a trade in the first round, is could the Saints package that second round pick along with their third and one of their fourths and try to move up higher in the second round or even back into the first. I could see that happening. And then maybe a guy like Sadiq's on the table. But you've already, you got Juwan Johnson, Noah Fant. Sadiq is a similar type player to them. To me, for the third tight end, you want more of a blocking guy anyway.
I just think if you're not going to go Love, now is a great year. If there's if some reason Love falls to 8 and you don't want to draft him, to me, there's got to be somebody down in the 13 to 19 range that would love to trade up, and you get maybe next year's a first and next year's first, and maybe something else in this draft. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. Again, it's not the Saints' MO to do that, but I think this would be a great year to do that. Kyle says Love will be gone at 5 unless Caleb Downs goes in the first 4. If Downs available at 5, Giants take him. Harbaugh said as much. Kyle, I'm going to say this. Coaches say a lot of crap early in the season. Sean Payton used to throw names out there all the time, and then they were nowhere on the Saints' radar. The coaches and general managers love to pretend like we're in love with this player, and then you don't hear anything from them. But there's a reason why they do that.
Yeah, and that's true. I disagree with you on trading back. I don't think it's a good idea this year. They're not going to do it, and I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think the back half of the first round is very strong. I think you want to stay. Now, if you're talking trading down a couple spots, maybe.
Well, that's what I'm saying, 13 and 19. I actually think I think like a Jordan Tyson, I think he'd be available there.
Maybe. But again, he's risky.
Sadiq's going to be available there.
I think you want a difference maker. I think you want, and again,
you don't get a chance to draft in the top 10 very often. So,
assuming that Mendoza and at least one O lineman are off the board, which seems like a good bet, then that's only 5 other spots. So we assume, okay, Arvell Reese will be gone. He'll be gone. Probably Jeremiah Love will be gone. That's what it's sounding like. So that's now 4. So there's only 3 other spots. Maybe Caleb Downs is gone.
To the Jets, a lineman to the Cardinals, probably. I don't know what the Raiders are going to take. I mean,
you can just kind of play the process of elimination and be like, well, shoot, at worst case scenario, they're going to have their choice between David Bailey and, I don't know, Mekhi Lemon and Mansour Delane or whatever. Even if all the other guys are gone, they're going to have their choice between those guys. And so 8's a great spot. Now, if you want to trade back 1 or 2 spots or something for some reason, you maybe still get one of those guys. But I feel like as soon as you go past about 10, the talent drops off, and what the Saints need and how the talent fits their needs would drop off.
Yeah, Sean brings up something you said. If David Bailey is there at 8, do you pull the trigger? I mean, it kind of depends on what else is there.
I like David Bailey, and he's one of those kind of more smaller, bendy edge rushers that fit in Brandon Staley's system. I also think, this is how much of a strength you can make edge rusher, which is such a crucial position. If you drafted a David Bailey or a Reuben Bain, I think they start, and you've pushed Carl Granderson, who's a starting level player. I think you've pushed him into number 3 in the rotation. How strong is that rotation then?
Yeah, fantastic. Apathy, I don't think this is the case. Mocks are worth as much as my opinions. They have the Saints taking some mocks have Peter Woods, the DT from Clemson at 8. The Saints aren't going to take a DT at 8. They're just not.
I see defensive tackle a little bit like I see running back, where you've got guys there, and the only way I'm making a move is if I see a true difference maker. The difference is at running back, Jeremiah Love is a difference maker. At defensive tackle, I don't think there is one in this draft, at least not like top 10 caliber.
Yeah, I agree. That kind of leads me into, all right, so what we're talking about here and talking about edge rusher and potential there. And again, Reuben Bain is available. Actually, if they're going to draft an edge rusher, that'd be my preference. Obviously, Arvell Reese would be, but not going to be there. We haven't even mentioned Sonny Styles. That's a need. I know a lot of Saints fans are excited about the potential of him, but I think he's kind of moving up the draft board as well.
And he, to me, is less of a fit because he's more of that, hybrid edge rusher linebacker type, which does fit in Brandon Staley's system, granted, but he almost like Caden Ellis is that similar type of player. I don't know. Like you need somebody who's going to go stand down on the line, and maybe Sonny Styles can do that. To me, Bailey and Bain are better fits. And I think it actually benefits the Saints if Sonny Styles is gone before they pick, because that's one more guy who gets pushed to them that they have their choice between.
Ryan wants to know, is there any chatter of talking to L'Jarius Sneed, who's let go with the Titans, another potential homecoming?
I haven't heard anything. It would make a certain amount of sense if they think he can fill that star position. I worry about, at that position, aging guys. I mean, like somebody brought up Marshawn Lattimore to me today. Like, come on. It's just not realistic. Marshawn Lattimore's got some baggage from his time in New Orleans as well. So I think those guys are a little bit over the hill, and you just can't count on them to be a starter at what's going to be a really important position.
Gabe hates anyone who's ever played for the Tennessee Titans. So he says Snead is washed.
I think Gabe's right though.
He could be. I'm just messing with him. Chad Gage wants to know. I mean, I don't think Jamon McCoy is a possibility at 8. Mansour Delane. I think Delane. That's if you're gonna trade back. I actually think Delane's going to be available like in the upper teens. In my opinion, if you're interested,
I don't know about upper teens, but I really
I mean like 13, 14. I don't mean like 19.
Oh, okay. I like Mansour Delane a lot. His ball skills are tremendous. I mean, anybody who watched LSU last year, that guy can make a play on the ball. And the Saints could really use that. Is he physical enough to play in the slot, or is that a situation where you'd be moving him outside and putting like Quincy Riley in that star position maybe?
I'm not a fan of drafting a corner that early. That's just, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know, man.
Maybe I feel about corner. Maybe I feel about corner the way that other people feel about drafting offensive linemen that the Saints keep doing. So that could be.
I like if he turns into a lockdown corner, if he's the next, Sauce Gardner's not a perfect example because he's a little bit bigger, but like if he's the next lockdown outside corner, that's worth a top 10 pick. The Saints would have to believe that.
Yeah, they would have to believe that. We'll see. Kind of try to segue into now. You talk about potential edge rushers. Look, the more and more I hear about Cam Jordan, I think if he was going to re-sign with the Saints, I think he would have done so already. Everything that I'm hearing from behind the scenes basically says, and I know you guys probably feel the same way. I don't put words in your mouth, but I think the Saints gave Cam Jordan a number. He said that's not good enough. And if he were to sign with the Saints, I think he would have done so already. I think that, he said it on a podcast the other day. He's narrowed it down to 3 options. I just don't think the Saints are one of those options.
I think they're still an option. The one thing that I disagree with is that I actually think the longer it goes on, the more likely it is that he comes back and says,
because nobody else wants him.
Yeah, I'll take the Saints offer. Because to me, the Saints probably want him a little more than other teams just because of his impact in the locker room, what he's done in the community. There's a comfort level there. And so I guess my question is there somebody out there offering him more than what the Saints are offering? Like you think about the Broncos and Sean Payton, would they be a team? But that D-line is stacked.
Yeah, I don't think so.
One thing, you're talking about his appearance on Teron Armstead's podcast, and one thing the word he kept using was value. And he was talking about money, but he was also talking about how the organization values him in terms of how he's going to be used. He even said, am I going to get the opportunity to have 10 or 12 sacks again? And I don't think he would get that in New Orleans. And that's one tidbit Jeff has for us on our show is that he thinks Cam probably, if he comes back, he's like the 4th edge rusher. The Saints would still go get somebody else to either be the 2 or the 3 with Granderson and with obviously Chase Young being your number 1. And Cam would, maybe he doesn't like the role. Well, he's not getting a bigger role in Denver. So where's he going to go? So I think the longer this goes on, the more likely it is he comes back to the Saints. The only other complicated thing here is the Saints are already paying him a dead cap hit of, I believe, $14 million.
Yeah, that's what say. That's the only reason why to bring him back. Yeah. They could restructure.
No, they can't restructure that now.
Oh, they can't?
That's the old deal. This would be a new deal.
Oh,
so you'd essentially be paying him twice.
Oh, and gotcha.
That, like, again, the $14 million cap hit is a sunk cost. There's nothing you could do about it. So I don't know that you can consider that like financially, like, oh, hey, we can't pay Cam. It's like, well, you're already paying that $14 million anyway.
Right.
So if Cam comes back to you at $6 million or whatever, you have to look at it as a separate deal from the dead money. But it could be like mentally and emotionally for the Saints. Like, do you really want to be on the hook for all that money for a guy who's going to be 37? Maybe not.
Yeah, I think that's where that's certainly leading. Speaking of dead cap money that's going to be paid out, none of us think that Taysom Hill's coming back, right?
No, I think the Saints have kind of given him time to make that decision and announce it when he wants to. But I haven't heard anything that suggests they're even considering that.
Yeah, and you and I were on the field doing each other. We were doing shows or whatever, but so we weren't in the locker room to see it firsthand. But the way Taysom Hill was talking after that Jets game, and crying, I think he thought it was his last game.
It certainly felt that way, and sometimes these guys just know, and the organization knows, and they've communicated it to them in whatever way. And it would just be a huge, huge, huge surprise if he was back.
Yeah, and you give him a standing O for even being able to come back this year at all and kind of going out on his own terms, which is what he was able to do. Because I got to be honest, I didn't really think he was. I thought he was pretty much washed. And when they kind of forced him back in, I'm like, this is kind of silly. He didn't do anything that first week he came back, but it wasn't long after that he did make some contributions here and there. They weren't the same kind of Taysom contributions. He was very hit or miss when he came back, but he did have a couple of good games, and for that just alone, I give him a tip of the cap.
Oh yeah, it was good to see him back, and they very obviously in that Jets game, the game was under control. They were trying to get him a couple of highlight reel plays to end his Superdome career on, and they got it. And it was a cool moment.
Also from Adam wants to know, I mean, we've talked about this. I don't think the Saints, they're not in any shape to get rid of Cesar Ruiz, nor do they want to, I don't think. I think Cesar Ruiz is your starting right guard in 2026 at the minimum. And now with David Edwards, we've talked about this. I think it kind of helps. You can help. I don't want hide, might not be able to right word, but lessen some of the deficiencies of Ruiz. But with the money that they're spending on Cesar Ruiz, I don't think they have any inkling to make him a non-starter or certainly not to get rid of him.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jim, it broke up. You said...
Oh, I'm sorry if I broke up. I'm talking about Cesar Ruiz.
Cesar Ruiz. Okay. I heard almost everything you said. I just missed the name, and so I wanted to make sure that look, you're paying the guy. He's been an effective player somewhat recently in his career, so why... Like, I just don't think it's time to cut bait on him and creating a new
terrible role. Last year. I mean, he wasn't good, but he wasn't terrible. If you look at PFF, it was. I mean, it wasn't good.
He was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I think you can reasonably expect a bounce back there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sean says, since he didn't get a new restructure, do you think this is his last season? I think he's. I mean, I would say, in my opinion, I think he's on the. I guess the shit list is the best way to watch it. Whereas if he doesn't shape up, kind of like Penning was on that list, but a much different financial situation, much lesser financial situation. I think that this very well could be his last year, but I just don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say watch list, not shit list, but okay. I mean, but they didn't restructure him because they want to have that option. And frankly, because they don't need to restructure everybody for once. And so and Pete Werner is the other notable one they didn't restructure, at least not yet. And so those two guys to me are kind of on the, it's show me time, right? Shout out to the show me state. It's show me time. You got to have it. You got to bring the goods in 2026 or we're probably moving on.
Jim Derry here with Zach Ewing here on this Wednesday morning. Unlike, well, it's not morning anymore. This Wednesday afternoon, unlike when Zach is normally on a Friday, but some things going on. We shifted some things around. Larry Holder will be with us on Friday. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our YouTube page. We would much appreciate it. And Zach, he is the host on the Saints Insiders page, which is also on YouTube, and the LSU Insiders page on YouTube through NOLA.com. Zach Ewing is an assistant sports editor and Saints editor at NOLA.com. Mikey Hudat says the Saints should grab Juwan Jennings.
I actually would have really liked that idea last year because he's kind of that, big body contested catch guy. But he duplicates Devon Vele for me a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not saying you couldn't bring him in, but what the Saints really need is more of a Rashid Shaheed type or a guy who can what they don't have. We talk about this on Saints Insider too. What they don't have is a yak guy. Chris Olave, as good as he is at stuff, he doesn't run after the catch at all. Especially since his injuries. Devon Vele, not really that guy.
Definitely
Trey
not
Palmer,
Trey Palmer could be that guy.
Yeah, he could be, but I think that's the guy you're looking for. And I don't know if Juwan Jennings is a good player. I just don't know if he fits exactly what the Saints want. To me, Carnell Tate is that guy.
Yeah, well, that's why I think the Saints would love to get him, and if he's available at 8, that would be my pick, barring Love not being there. Yeah, who dat, Daddy? I mean, we were thinking a lot. We were thinking a lot of the same there. Hart wants to know: do the Saints potentially move Wagner inside and take a right tackle in the second? I don't think so. That's if you wanted to get rid of Ruiz, you might do that, but I don't think there's any movement to want to do that now.
I don't understand this. Everybody wants to move pieces around on the offensive line. It's not that easy. It's not that easy for these guys to just, okay, I'm going to play this year. I'm going to play that next year. I know he's played guard in the past, but leave him where he was. He was doing fine. Now, Tolly had injury problems last year. You wanted to stay healthier. I'm
going to tell you why. Because Carr's gone. Olave did better than everybody thought, so they can't hate on him anymore. And so now they're going to focus all the people who you have to have someone to hate, Zach Ewing. You can't just go through a season and not have someone to hate. So Penning's gone. You're just going to focus and channel your hate on a Cesar Ruiz and maybe Juwan Johnson too.
Yeah, just wait for the season to start. There'll be somebody to hate. Somebody will rear their head. Travis Etienne will fumble in his first game or something, and he'll be personified.
Oh yeah. Chad Gage wants to know what is up with Bob Means. I mean, I think he's going to get every opportunity to be a wide receiver 4 or a wide receiver 3, or he's going to get a chance to make this team.
Yeah, Bub was hurt. That's what's up with him.
Right.
He was on IR. He fracture his ankle. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was an ankle.
Did he fracture his ankle? But he definitely had, yeah.
But it was in training camp, and it was almost immediate. He's on season-ending IR, and it was like, oh crap! Well, that's a serious injury then. So, just like any player like that, he's going to have to come back, and he's going to have to, prove that he can be the same guy or even better, and he'll be in the rotation too. But again, he's one of these guys who, once you're a 4th, 5th, 6th round draft pick and you've been around a couple years, you're on the chopping block, man. Like they will draft somebody behind you, and you have to give them a reason to keep you around.
Rocky says he won't make this team. I tell you what, Rock, I'll bet you a root beer that he does. I think Bob Means will make this team. We'll see.
If they draft a receiver,
then that does slide somebody down.
And they're bringing Palmer and Polk, and you have Olave and Vele back, the spots start to run out. Now,
they do.
I guess the question is, when you say he doesn't make the team, does it count if he's on the practice squad and he comes up a couple times? Because that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a possibility. I think that's actually, I think that's probably likely. I think that's what you would see happen. All right. Don't want to keep you too long here this afternoon now. Let's talk a little bit before we let's finish with the LSU women. Actually, I want to talk a little bit of bracketology here in the NCAA men, and the odds have changed a little bit. I found it interesting. Duke and Michigan were both plus 300 on Monday's show. They've kind of gone down a little bit. Arizona, their odds have ticked up just a little bit, and a lot of other odds have changed as well. But Duke at plus 360, Michigan plus 370, Arizona plus 380. Obviously, the odds makers think it's going to be one of those three teams that's going to win the national championship. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I said earlier I don't know a whole lot about college basketball. This is probably the least I've known in many years. But something, maybe it's just a feeling, gut feeling. I kind of like Florida here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Florida is an interesting one. I faded them last year because everybody was picking them. And I came really close to winning a lot of money in the various pools I was in because Florida almost freaking lost 3 different times. They could have lost to UConn. They should have lost to Texas Tech. They should have lost to Houston. I mean, they just kept pulling it out. And so I ended up not winning any money. But this year's a little bit the opposite, where they are the forgotten team. And that appeals to me. So I filled out 2 brackets, and I have Florida actually winning the national title in one of them because they are the forgotten team. And while I agree they don't have maybe as good of a chance as Duke or Michigan or Arizona to win it, I think they're just right behind them. And if that's true and nobody's picking them, that's the way you win money in these pools is by getting leverage.
Yeah, and I put some long shots worth a look here on the screen. You got UConn at plus 2,500. I mean, UConn, that's kind of a high number. I actually kind of, maybe that worth a buck. I got a Facebook friend of mine who loves Arkansas at plus 6,000. And I just put rock chalk in there just for your benefit, Zach. I couldn't help it at plus 6. I just did that for you. You're going to put a buck on the Jayhawks to win it all?
No. I'll take that buck and wipe my you-know-what with it.
You could say that on this show, by the way.
I'll draw a Jayhawk on it and wipe it. Yeah. I agree with Arkansas. I think here's the thing. NCAA tournament surprise teams. They're the teams with the best guard play. If you want to go pick out a mid-major who's going to pull a 12 versus 5 upset, which I think is, we can talk about that. I think that this tournament will be very chalky in the early rounds. But I think if you are going to find an upset, you want to go pick a team that has guard play. And Darius Acuff, to me, is the best player in the country. He ought to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. And Arkansas is a sleeper agent because of Darius Acuff. Could they, they have a tough road. That's the only thing. Probably run into Wisconsin in the second round, tough game. Probably run into Arizona in the Sweet 16, obviously about as tough as it gets. But if Darius Acuff could lift them through those 2 games, I think they're going all the way to the title game. Maybe they run into Duke at that point, and Duke has the defense to shut down Acuff. But I think Arkansas at 60-1 is a legitimate bet.
Hart wants to know how far do you have your alma mater, the Mizzou Fighting Tigers? I think are a 10 seed. How far do you have them going?
They're out, man. I hate to say it, but they've been playing poorly down the stretch, and they could beat Miami. It wouldn't surprise me to see them beat Miami. But even if they do, they're probably losing to Purdue on Sunday. They've only won, Missouri's only won 1 tournament game in the last 14 years.
Didn't they lose to LSU?
I don't think so. Maybe a long time ago. Maybe back in '86.
Okay,
but,
maybe. Yeah, okay.
They beat Utah State a couple years ago and actually got the upset that they needed on the other side, and Princeton beat Arizona. And you're like, oh, Missouri's going to back their way into the Sweet 16, and then they lost to Princeton. So
yeah, I mean, LSU, they lost to LSU in basketball this year. That's what I meant.
Oh, this year? Yeah, yes, they did. Yeah. In fact, I think that was LSU's only SEC win that did not require overtime was against Missouri.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I will say this: Missouri has defeated Florida. They defeated Texas A&M. They defeated Oklahoma, who was playing really well at the end of the year. They defeated both Tennessee and Vanderbilt. They have good wins. They can surprise a team on the right night, but they are so inconsistent.
Before we move on to the women, I'm going to throw this out there because Gabe just can't let it go. He and Matt Moscona probably ought to go have cigars and eat dinner together because they're basically begging for Will Wade to come back to the Tigers. I mean, you don't have any room for a giant egotistical douchebag a-hole. They already have one of those as a coach at LSU. They just hired him not too long ago. Can you really have 2 at the same time? I don't think there's room for Lane Kiffin and Will Wade at LSU. That's just my opinion.
Why do you hate Will Wade, man?
Because he's a douchebag.
Because he paid players and said strong ass offer and
no, and then he's like talking and like he gets caught on tape saying he's just what kind of dumbass does what he did and then like talks about it on a phone and gets recorded
I think he's a little bit of
Kim
a loose
Mulkey.
cannon.
I forgot about Kim Mulkey too.
He's a little bit of a loose cannon for sure, but I don't know. I'm with what is that Scott's comments. Why would he come back? Why would he come back? Why do you want to come back? I mean, yes, now that Scott Woodward is gone and it's Wade Roos and these people you knew from McNeese in charge and like maybe you feel like it's coming back home some sort of way or something. But is LSU, which is already paying through the nose for Lane Kiffin, paying Kim Mulkey way more than most women's basketball coaches get paid, paying Jay Johnson,
I don't think McMahon's going anywhere.
Yeah, NIL money in all of those sports. You're going to pay Matt McMahon's buyout. Then you're going to go pay Will Wade's buyout at NC State. Then you're going to pay Wade and his staff enough to make them think it's worth leaving a good ACC job to come in and take a tough job at LSU. I just don't see it happening. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Will Wade feels some affinity for this place that we don't know about, but it feels unlikely to me, man. And it kind of feels unlikely to me that they even move on at this point because of the financial implications of it. But if they do, the only way they do, I think, is if they have something lined up with Will Wade, put it that way. But I just don't, I think that's unlikely.
I don't know how this translates on the audio only version of the podcast, but I would say this to Will Wade. That's what I'd say.
I appreciate Will Wade's, he is a better listen in a press conference than 95% of coaches out there. He's actually open. He speaks his mind. He actually will answer questions. So I don't hate on Will Wade, but I don't see why he'd come.
A-Town says, we don't need arrogant man back in Baton Rouge. They already have multiples. Apathy says, they're also not going to pay assistants a multi-year deal with a lame duck basketball coach. Hart says, I think they embrace the suck till McMahon's contract is out. Then go hire Gabe. Maybe they would. I mean, Gabe probably comes cheap. I mean, I don't know. Can you freelance as a basketball coach? You think that's a possibility?
If so, LSU would look into it.
What about Avery Johnson? That's how you pronounce that, by the way.
What has he ever
pronounce
done
Avery Johnson?
He's going to come in to this version of the SEC and be successful. What has he ever done? Matt McMahon's accomplished more in his career than Avery Johnson. Come on.
Basketball purgatory. We're stealing all the Saints and football purgatory. I guess LSU's in basketball purgatory. All right. You know who's not in basketball purgatory, although they don't really have the greatest chance to win the national championship? Who knows? Maybe a sleeper on the women's side. I'm sure y'all talked about it in the LSU Insiders. The LSU women's basketball team currently 5th in odds to win the national championship, but they're a long, far cry from the UConn Lady Huskies, who are a whopping minus 265. LSU is 16-1 to win the women's tournament.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because I actually think this LSU team is the quality of a typical number 1 seed. I think they're a really good team. I actually think this may sound crazy. I think they're better than the national championship team from 3 years ago. I think they're a more talented, better put together team. And they had a better regular season. Remember, that team was a 3 seed. This team was a 2 seed. Most years would have been a 1 seed. The problem is that women's basketball is extremely good at the top this year.
Very good.
UConn is historically good. And then UCLA most years would be the number 1 overall seed with a bullet. They lost 1 game all year. They played in the Big Ten, which was a very good league this year. They lost 1 game all year. I think they lost to, I don't even remember who it was. Texas. I think they lost to Texas. And then Texas and South Carolina had tremendous years as well. And so did LSU. But you're just you're in a situation now where you're going to probably have to run the table against 3 of those teams to win a national title. You're probably going to have to beat UCLA to make it to Phoenix. And then you're going to have to beat Texas and either UConn or South Carolina in the final. Can this team put 3 performances like that together back to back to back? Not to mention, Duke is a very good 3 seed. I know LSU won at Duke this year, so you have to favor them, but that's a good 3 seed. To me, the path forward is just too tough to predict anything beyond an Elite Eight.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get to the Final Four this year. Like you say, I mean, even if they get past the Sweet 16 and get past the Duke, I mean, I don't think they have it to beat UCLA. We'll see. And then it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going bet minus 265 because you just can't bet minus 265. But I don't see anybody beating the freight train that's known as the UConn Huskies.
I could see UCLA doing it just because I think that they're really, really good. Also, they're on that level. But yeah, like this is why filling out a women's bracket is almost an exercise in futility this year, because who are you gonna? You got to pick an upset somewhere, but which of these teams is getting upset? I don't think anybody is.
I don't either. Last question before we let you go. Well, last question about anything that matters about anything. Hart wants to know what happens first. LSU women beat South Carolina, or Will Wade comes back to LSU?
LSU women beat South Carolina, because I that will happen eventually.
The odds say that they're going to happen, right? That it's going to happen.
I mean, I don't get again. I don't know Will Wade personally.
You and me on the same boat on this one.
Maybe he has some magnetic
reasons.
pull back to Baton Rouge where he looks at it and says, "Yeah, LSU's a better job than NC State." Yeah, at NC State, you're beating your head against Duke and UNC every year, but look at what the SEC has become. The SEC is a meat grinder, man. You want to come back and
10 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, you want 14 last year, 10 this year, and then I think the first two teams out were Auburn and Oklahoma. So it was very close to being like 12 again. And I just don't – are they going to pay you that much more? I don't think that's happening. Are they a better opportunity? I don't think so. If I'm Will Wade, I'm happy where I am.
I agree with you. You fired up for your fantasy baseball draft. Did you do them already? Fantasy baseball?
I have both of them on Sunday, so I'm going to be very busy. And LSU women play Sunday, so I'm going to be a busy boy on Sunday. One of mine
Sunday and one is Monday. Should I put some money on the M's this year? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't mush them like that, but you do what you want to do. I think they got a good team. You just never know when a team makes a big run the year before. Can they come back and do it again and just not have any emotional letdown? And
I don't know. If J-Rod can make catches like that all year long.
That's true. That's true. Although Cal didn't.
Aaron Judge.
Speaking of the World Baseball Classic, you think Mark DeRosa leaving a 60-homer bat on his bench that whole game was a smart move? What are we doing?
Man, Mark DeRosa made a lot of interesting moves. I'm just going to say.
Can I leave you with one more bracket fact just because
please.
So I looked this up and I found this fascinating. So the number 1 through 4 seeds, I saw the stat, are all double-digit favorites, which I believe is the first time. It's either the first time that's ever happened or the first time in 35 years or something. That 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, all 16 of them are double-digit favorites. I think Texas Tech's a 5 seed, so never mind. I think they're all double-digit favorites. And then even if you go to the 5 seeds, Texas Tech's like an 8.5-point favorite. Wisconsin's like 9.5, but the other 2 are double-digit favorites also. If you parlayed all 20, okay, I'm going to set it up like this, actually. Akron is the 12 seed facing Texas Tech. They are plus 270 on DraftKings, okay? That is the lowest odds of any 12 through 16 seed to win its first round game. So plus 270, okay? So keep that number in mind. If you parlay all 19 1 through 5 seeds, because I'm leaving out Florida because they don't have their opponent yet, so there's no line because they play the winner of tonight's game. So, but the other 19, if you parlay all 19 of them together to win, which never happens, 1 through 5 seeds, I mean, there's always a 12 seed that wins.
Was it like
and there's
plus
usually
1,600?
Usually a 13 or 14 seed that wins. If you parlay all 19 teams together, plus 264.
You're kidding.
It's less odds than Akron, which is the lowest of any of the underdogs, because there's that many giant favorites. So I would not feel bad about having a chalky bracket this year. I'm not saying you shouldn't pick any 12 seed or 13 seed or something to win. I just wouldn't pick a lot of them.
So what you're saying is lots of rock chalk.
Jim.
See what I did there?
You do like me coming on the show, right? I just can't. I may have to make a moral stand at some point.
right, that's the last KU joke. We don't want to piss off our guests, but it used to be easy to do when we were on Bayou Bets together. You couldn't avoid me. I mean, I guess now you have an option to avoid me. You couldn't avoid me before.
I'll say this about Kansas, man. Darren Peterson's really good, and he's a guard. Same thing I said about Arkansas. If he could stay on the court, which he hasn't done a lot this year, Kansas is dangerous. They really are.
I might throw a few bucks on them just to have an extra rooting interest and maybe press buttons later on in the tournament. I don't know.
My son a few years ago submitted a bracket because he said, "Can I do one?" I said, "Yeah." And I just opened up my ESPN page and he did it, and he picked Kansas to win. And then Kansas. That was the year Kansas won it, and he finished higher than all of us. And he's still like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you remember that year I won the bracket?" And I'm like, "Son, if you want food on the table and clothes on your back, you should know when to stop talking."
Who Dat Daddy is glad you're here, as am I, even if it is on a Wednesday. So you're scheduled to be here Friday, March the 27th, which is the day after opening day, and we should have fun talking that day. So enjoy your baseball draft.
Have
and
my
we'll
M's
see
jersey
you.
on. All right.
I wore my Cubs. Maybe I'll put a jersey on just for you. We'll see what happens. See you then. Zach Ewing, everybody. How old will Zach's son be when LSU women finally beat South Carolina? 38. UBN wants to know, what do I hate more? Puppies, Will Wade, or Lane Kiffin? If you had a 3-sided die, you could roll it, and whatever one you land on, I'm fine with. I don't hate puppies. I'm not a dog person. I think it's partly because I grew up in a household where we had animals galore. My mom loved having animals, and then my first wife is a vet. She's currently a vet. She was working her way through vet school at the time, and we lived in a 1,000-square-foot house with 9 animals. And I'm just not a animal person. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. Apparently, what did I say? I said something a month or two ago that actually upset a couple of the regulars. I don't even remember what it was. Something about dogs. They did not like what I said. They didn't like it. Whatever. Yeah, A10. That's it's blasphemy. It is what it is. I mean, y'all know I tell you the way that it is, or the way that I think that it is. Y'all know I'm an open book on this show. I mean, let me tell you something. At least you know what I'm saying. So if I say something's good or something's bad, I feel like if I say I think the Saints are good, or they had a great free agency era, or they had a great draft, or whatever, if I'm saying something positive about anything, you know that I'm telling you that's the way that I feel. I don't sugarcoat anything. You know what else I don't sugarcoat? I don't sugarcoat how great my friends at Evangeline Securities are. I mean, they can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. And you ask me the question, how do they do it? You know that's the best question. That is the question of the day, and it will tell you the answer, because after their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, well, they will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They got the whole world in their hands. They will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on that platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and 0.0 with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick about what's really important. And it ain't puppies, it ain't Will Wade, and it certainly ain't dumbass Lane Kiffin. Oh, I didn't say that out loud. It certainly ain't Mr. Lane Kiffin. He's never going to come on the show now. You know what's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. I don't know why I pronounce the rest of your life like a 68-year-old yat who smokes 3 packs a day and is on her 8th cup of coffee. I don't know why I did it like that, but it kind of started and now I'm stuck with it. The rest of your life. Yeah, hot. Let's go down to Mandina's and get us a oyster po' boy. We can go on Monday and get some red beans. It hurts just to talk like that. How do they talk like that without hurting themselves? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, A-Town. All right. Time to move on. It's the part of the show that I've absolutely been dreading. It's some dumbass's birthday, and he's wearing a hat.
You know,
if you can't see him, UBN is wearing a birthday hat and a shirt that says Poop Town on it. And we let him on the show because it's his birthday.
You know, I like dogs more than most people.
Yeah, I know. I know you do.
They never talk back. They don't make fun of my hats and my shirts.
No, they just chew
Yours
shit
doesn't
up.
talk back.
Yeah, mine talks a lot too. And chews shit up.
She absolutely talks back.
All right. All right, enough of all that.
Let's ask Peppa Pig how she feels about dogs.
Peppa Pig is, we got a Peppa Pig update, by the way. Apparently, apparently Peppa Pig it wasn't just a leg, okay? It was more than a leg. Maybe I'll show it on Friday. They found the body of Peppa Pig, and apparently she's just a quadriplegic now. She's still alive. She just has no arms and no legs. And her voice box was ripped out, so I don't even think she could talk anymore. But that's coming up on Friday. More updates.
Sounds like your yacht that smokes.
If Tanya Harding had it her way, she would have left Nancy Kerrigan like Peppa Pig.
Oh, speaking of that
call
date,
back to last show.
Everyone is loving the hat. Who Dat Daddy says, "Happy birthday."
I know what the people want.
You give the people what they want, and we're going to give the people what they want because
that hat on Amazon.
This is what this segment
How you
is
know it
here.
came from Amazon?
I mean, that's the only place you buy stuff. I mean, you're not going to go out to Dollar General and find your happy birthday hat. You certainly didn't buy Poop Town at
this
Dollar
hat
General.
came in a box that was about this big, no lie. I was like, how's that going to get it on my head? And then it just expanded. Yeah. You ever buy a mattress online? It's the same way. It comes in this little bitty thing, and then you open it up.
You ever watch the videos of people opening
I mean, most people probably could use your hat as a mattress. It's so big.
Probably so.
Did like when you pulled it out of the box, did it like need a half an hour to open itself up?
Yeah, I had to open it up 3 days ago.
That's what I figured. I mean, at least the candles are sticking up now. That's nice.
They just got erect.
You can't use that word on the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. That's anyway.
We can say F words, but we can't.
That's right. Exactly. All right. We brought you on this show to do Dat Date in honor of your birthday. We did not have a random Dat Date for the second show in a row. Dat Date in history. We're using the year that UBN was born. If you want to know how old he is, he's getting old. When we first became friends, he used to make fun of me because he was like 23 or something like that. And I was in my 30s and old, and he used to make fun of me. But now he's old because we're going
still makes you older,
1980.
For what it's worth.
Dat Date in 1980.
For what it's worth, you gave us the exact date as a spoiler on Monday. I did not look up anything, didn't cheat.
Me neither.
I know
I
you
was
were.
going
the
to, and I forgot
integrity
to.
of the quiz.
I knew you wouldn't do that. Jody Alexander says, happy birthday, UBN, and the best director on planet Earth. Todd Whittington is here. He says happy birthday as well. All right. All right. On the Dat Date, you see the front page of the Times-Picayune Internet. Boy, it looked so. You want to talk about looking weird? What a weird looking front. Let me get you a little bit better, close up of the. How weird is this? That is a long vertical picture of Dale Brown. This is the top of the front page. There was no banner. Okay, there was no banner on the sports front, as you saw in this other Dat Date. If you look in the bottom left corner, if you're audio only, I don't know how to help you.
Working there?
You got to find us on YouTube. I was not working. I was actually in the 7th grade in 1980. At this time in 1980, 1979, 80, 80. No, I was sorry. I was in the 6th grade, I think. Anyway, it was a long time ago. And Dale Brown is on, big long picture of Dale Brown is on there for a reason, because the Second ranked and number 1 seed LSU men's Tigers were knocked out of the NCAA tournament, finished their season 26-6. They lost to the eventual champion Louisville Cardinals 86-66. Gabe, you'll be happy to know that game was in Houston, Texas. Again, the Tigers were the top seed in the Midwest, number 2 in the country. My former colleague, Fred Robinson. Look at that hair, Fred Robinson. I might have to text him this picture. I haven't seen Fred in a little bit.
Richard Pryor.
He does a little bit. We worked together for quite a while. Fred Robinson, the great Fred Robinson, who covered state schools for a long time around at the Times-Picayune and a lot of other things. Was a fantastic writer. Was in Houston to cover Dale Brown's demise. Probably Dale Brown's best team in 1980. But they lost on this date, March the 18th, 1980. Also on this date, Jimmy Smith, the great Jimmy Smith, who worked for the Times-Picayune for a long time as well, wrote a feature from Boston. This is actually when the Times-Picayune sent people to other areas of the country just to write a feature on Celtics forward Rick Roby, who happened to prep at Brother Martin High School. And also we wrote, this is an interesting, and neither one of y'all have heard of this team. I have because I'm old. But the New Orleans Pride. Do either one of y'all know what the New Orleans Pride were?
I'm not even going to venture a guess because I probably can't say it.
The New Orleans Pride were prepping for the Women's Professional Basketball League's quarterfinals matchup against, and I'm not making this up, they were getting ready to play the Minnesota Phillies. That's Phillies. So there you go. All right. And now it's time for me to ask y'all some questions. On this date, nationally, there actually was a huge story, but we didn't know at the time how huge of a story it was. It's going to be a pretty easy one that both of you should get. On this date in 1980, what college basketball coach legend was hired 46 years ago today?
Was it Coach K?
It was Coach K. Duke hired Coach Mike Krzyzewski 46 years ago today. He would go on to coach for 42 years.
Academy, huh? Wasn't he from
Army?
Army.
Yeah.
Army. Okay. Also in the state in 1980, the Soviet Union announced that the 1980 Summer Olympics would proceed despite the fact that the United States was boycotting the games. Now, the tennis reference, John McEnroe began a 170-week run at number 1.
Okay, I do know who that is.
John McEnroe.
Yeah,
you cannot be serious that you know who John McEnroe is.
Yeah,
you cannot be serious.
I know who that is.
All right. Other stories on this date, and here's a question to y'all. Major League Baseball is set to have a long lockout after this season is over, and a strong possibility it would be longer than the one that ended on this date in 1990, 36 years ago. How long was that lockout, Gabe Henderson?
6 months.
Nick?
Was it 11 months? I think it was close to a year.
It was 32 days. Y'all are both way off. Way off. Okay. So y'all get an
In fairness, I was not alive, so
although
having the less worse guess is better.
That's sick that you weren't alive in 1990. I actually remember that one fairly well. But
you talk about how old I am. He was born when I graduated high school.
Yeah. Gabe was born. I was
98.
Well, your birthday's in August, right, Gabe? August what? It's before my 31st, right after mine.
I'll watch the.
I just turned 30.
You'll be good.
I just turned 30 when Gabe was born. That's how old I am. On this date in 1991, Philadelphia 76ers retired the number 13 jersey of this NBA great. Who was it?
Dr. J?
Nope. It was someone we just talked about not long ago.
It wasn't Allen Iverson.
Nope.
On what date?
On this date in 1991, they retired his jersey.
Number 13. Wilt?
It was Wilt.
Yep.
Wilt Chamberlain. There we go. Jody got it before you did. It certainly was Wilt. A-Town wants to know if I ever wrote for the States item. No, the States item was, I'm not that old, A-Town. The States item began to no longer exist when they merged with the Times-Picayune in 1980. So the same year, the Times-Picayune and Stateside emerged. I am not that old. Brian Russell had the answer. So did Brian Estee. Wilt the Stilt on this date in 2019, a 40-year-old player passed Wilt to move into sixth place in scoring with 31,424 points. But his team lost to the New Orleans Pelicans that night. 2019, who moved into sixth place in the history of NBA scoring? The hint, I don't know what kind of hints I can give you.
Hold on. 40 years old in 2019. He lost to the Pelicans. So that means he played for a while. High on the scoring charts. Oh. It's not LeBron, obviously.
No.
When I tell you the team that they played for, you guess it in 2 seconds.
Was it Jordan? Was it Jordan? Jordan's older than
Jordan,
right?
In
Yeah.
2019?
2019, it wasn't Jordan.
Yeah.
It was not.
Jordan was in his 50s
Jordan's
in
also
2019.
second.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
what I
sure.
mean.
Jordan's
Yeah.
also second in the or no, I think he's now third in the
It's not Jason Kidd, Brian Steve, but you're
Wait.
kid.
but the player, but here's a
Was
hint.
it Nash?
The player that I'm talking
Nash.
about played for one of the teams that Kidd played for at least. It was not Kobe, Brian Russell.
No.
Dirk?
It
Kobe
was
retired in
Dirk
16.
Nowitzki.
Dirk was still playing in 19?
Dirk
Yeah.
Nowitzki.
Oh my
When he said
God.
kid played for the team, that's I started going
Scored
through the
his-
teams.
31,424th point on this date in 2019, but the Mavericks lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. On this date in 1995, this NBA player announced he was ending his 17-month retirement.
Jordan.
Who was it? It was, you're right,
With the
Gabe. It
iconic
was
I'm back letter.
Michael Jordan.
I had the questions messed up. That's why.
Some other things that happened on March 18th through history. Jackie Robinson received a tryout from the Chicago White Sox. Still, though, ridiculously, don't get me started, was 5 years away from his first game in Brooklyn. The Boston Braves announced their move to Milwaukee on this date in 1950. Oh, I can't read that. I think it was 1953. Mike Tyson, another Mike Tyson reference. He defeated Razor Ruddock in the 7th round on this date in 1991. Some birthdays. Sorry, man, you don't share a lot of you don't share a birthday with a lot of
Marilyn Manson, huh?
Marilyn Manson. I'm just doing sports people. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
On this date, sports people born on March 18th. The great Mike Webster turned 74 years old today. He was born in 1952. He was a longtime offensive lineman, I think center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he played for something ridiculous like 18 seasons. Yeah, probably so. He'd rather him sign him than Carr. On this date in 1964, she is now 62 years old. Gabe loves when we talk about speed skating. She won the World Championship in 1988, 1992, and 1994. Bonnie Blair is 62. It's hard to believe this guy is 59.
What you thought about?
I don't know. What Gabe? What are you laughing at? He's thinking about Monica Seles again. We're going.
Bonnie
Blair. About somebody else.
That sounds like an adult star name.
Yeah, it's the same thing I thought of. That's why I asked what he was laughing at.
But I couldn't. I honestly, gun to my head, could not tell you one single speed skater.
In the last 5 minutes, you have heard adult star and erect in the same segment.
And
Just
to
saying.
be fair, Chad had singled out my reaction to UBN's use of that word. My reaction was not to the use of the word. It was the reaction of Jim immediately realizing that none of us are mature enough to let someone say that on the show.
TP for my bunghole. All righty. Also born on this date, back 1 year before me. In 1967, his nickname was Bad Moon. Nick, do you know who I'm talking about? Football player for the Atlanta Falcons.
Bad Moon Rising?
Andre Bad Moon Rising.
Yep.
Brian Greasy was born on this date in 1975, the former quarterback of the Denver Broncos and son of the, I believe, Hall of Fame quarterback Bob Greasy. And how about a player that's still playing today that's worth mentioning? On this date in 1991, Phillies catcher JT Realmuto. And that's about the best I could do in the sports world. You know, it's why Chad watches, because of our mentions. Ryan O'Shea knew Andre Rison.
You just don't know how to spell it right.
Risen. It's all the same shit. All right. What you got, boys? Anything good before we go off the air? It's a long show. What are you going to do for the rest of your birthday? Hold on. Yeah. What are you going to do for the rest of your birthday, UBN?
Oh, when I leave here, me and my mom are going to Dragos.
Oh,
then that's
perfect. That's about it. That's fantastic. So that's if not my favorite restaurant. I'm going there Sunday. That's where my draft is being held. We go there every year for our baseball draft. And Tommy Statanovich Doug Mouton. He and Tommy are friends, and we get the back room, the meeting room of Dragos. And everyone who didn't finish fourth place or higher or better has to pay for the 4 people who did. And it's just a smorgasbord. It's phenomenal. I will not be on a diet this Sunday, I'll tell you. And of course, I finished in 5th place last year, so that means I have to pay. But whatever. Gabe, what were you saying to say?
I came to one of your drafts at the Zephyrs game. Did y'all have one there before?
We had. That was the year before we started at Dragos. We did have a draft once in a Zephyrs suite. What you got, Gabe, before we say goodbye this morning?
I agree with Zach. As I mentioned the other day, Florida is my pick. I've flip-flopped back and forth. I'm sticking with Florida, and I like Iowa State to come out of the other side of the bracket. I really do. I don't really like the value on Arkansas. I think they've gotten too hot, and they're now the trendy pick. I think Wisconsin
actually going down there from 50 to 1. It's now 60 to 1.
I think Wisconsin's got better guard play. Wisconsin doesn't turn the ball over, and they shoot more threes than Arkansas. So I think they could pose a big problem to them in the second round. And then ultimately, I think Arizona is going to be too much to handle for Arkansas if they meet them. Michigan State is a team that I'm looking at to make the Final Four. I like Illinois to beat Houston. And yeah, if you're looking for first round upsets, not a ton. I think it's going to be a very chalky year. I like South Florida to beat Louisville, though, and Texas A&M to beat St. Mary's. And then one last note on March Madness. Some of our regulars requested it. I made it happen. We've got a Dattitude bracket challenge on ESPN. You can type in Dattitude using the keyword. It'll come up. Or if you're not, I'm going to send Jim the link to put in the YouTube comments.
And then you can also put
YouTube description.
You can also put it in the Slack channel.
It's in the Slack channel already.
For all the members, you can go find it in the Slack channel. And you know what?
Tomorrow?
It does. Maybe I'll go do one just for the hell of it.
I'm going to do one too.
Compete. I'll do one just for the hell of it and go put it in there.
I'm going to pick mascots.
Chad says, UBN, screw Jim Derry. It's your birthday. Show us the dog.
She's downstairs.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Jim's so upset.
She was waving at Jim earlier and everything.
Who that daddy says he wouldn't give Carr a $5 and a fish sandwich to play for him. Would you give him $4 and a shrimp sandwich, but only like a half a shrimp? Would you do that?
The Japanese shrimp.
Ryan O'Shea says he's drafting at the fairgrounds on Sunday. That's a lot of fun, too. You got to do something different. You can't just do the same old thing. All right.
I'll actually...
Last comment before we say goodbye. Go for it.
I'll leave you with 2 March Madness stats.
Okay.
Danny Hurley, the head coach at UConn, has made 2 Sweet 16s in his coaching career. He won the title both times. I don't like him to make the Sweet 16 here. I think UCLA. Actually, UCLA is going to be a toss-up with Michigan State, but that's irrelevant. The one team, however, that is almost an automatic Sweet 16 bid is Gonzaga. I don't think they're going to get past Purdue once they get there, but Gonzaga to the Sweet 16 because I don't trust BYU or Texas to be
Gonzaga.
The funny thing about this time of year is this is when everybody's like, what channel is True TV again?
No, you don't have to do that anymore.
The March
Madness
is the best thing in the world.
You don't have to know the numbers anymore. That's kind of actually kind of cool.
I know, but they were talking
Jimmy
about
Wallison loves your hat, by the way.
Oh God, I'm gonna take it off now. He likes it.
Poor Jimmy.
I like it.
All right. And then Brian Russell wants to know, Gabe, does your pop have a podcast?
No.
All right. And Jay Lambert. Is that the best Team USA can do for a manager? Dumbass of the week is Mark DeRosa. But Jay, they don't like when I
disagree, Jay.
Some people don't
disagree.
like when I call people dumbass.
Shout out
How did
Omar
he get the
Lopez.
job?
He's
How
good
does he
in
get that job?
Well, he played for the Cubs.
I know that, but it doesn't mean he should get the job.
Oh man, now A-Town, now you're speaking my language. Mid-South Wrestling, baby. On this day in 1982, Bob Roop defeated Ted DiBiase in Shreveport. I was watching back then, man, for sure.
A-Town has actually he's getting me to course correct. I know more about tennis than I do wrestling. I don't know a damn thing about wrestling.
Yeah, dude, I didn't even celebrate 316 Day.
I know I don't even know what that is.
I
know what 320 Day
Austin
is.
316.
What is Austin?
That's what Austin did his whole Stone Cold Steve Austin did his whole Austin 316. Like John,
I know what 320 is, and we're gonna have a show on
it's like
320.
huge. It's huge.
Okay.
320. What's 320?
320 is you don't know what y'all don't know 320?
What's 320?
I mean,
What's
go look it up.
you talking about 420?
420. See, I don't know what it is.
Yes.
420. That's what I meant.
What,
See, I
Snoop
don't
Dogg
know.
was born on April 20th.
Exactly. Was he really?
Yes, I agree with Ryan.
Yes, I think so.
Mark DeRosa is a fantastic analyst, but you don't see Stephen A. Smith out here getting.
Imagine Stephen A. Smith as a basketball coach.
Oh my God.
Team USA.
I will say, someone
Stephen A.
mentioned it
Smith
earlier.
coach.
Doug Gottlieb has actually done a really good job with Green Bay, turning them around.
Okay. If y'all say so. All right. I'm going dream of 420 Day. I will see you when I see you, UBN. Happy birthday. And Gabe, I'll see you on Friday.
All right, thank you.
Sounds
See
good.
y'all later. Thank you, everybody, for birthday.
Please wear
wishes.
that hat all day long.
Yep, happy birthday, UBN.
Oh, that's coming off right after this is over.
See you later. All right, everybody. Yeah, I'm sorry, 420. I mean, boy, y'all mofos knew that in a hurry. I messed that up, and everybody, the entire UBN, Gabe, everybody in the chat, everybody knew that I screwed that up right off the bat. Y'all didn't miss on no 420. 320. Well, maybe 320 something else. Maybe 320 is when you eat spaghetti. Actually, tomorrow is St. Joseph's Day. We got the permanent lights out there, red, white, and green from my Italian wife. We're fired up here at the Derry household. And the grandson being born the same day. I'm surprised UBN was able to make it here, though. You didn't hear his teeth chatter once throughout the entire show. He's not a fan of the groundhog. The bear ha, as my daughter used to say. All right, before we go off the air, I'll ask you one night. I'm not too proud to beg for your support on YouTube. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook page is like growing incredibly. Like I almost put all this stuff when I became independent. I started putting this stuff on Facebook kind of as a afterthought, but the Facebook show is blowing up. Ryan S. Steve says we will have a show on April 20th. It's a Monday. Oh, well, that's going to be a mono-y Monday. I mean, come on, man. You got to have a mono-y Monday on 420. I'll probably forget, y'all, but I'm sure y'all will remind me. Who Dat Daddy says love is the answer. Who cares if the question is love you, Nolans? No doubt about it. UBN says all the super chats go to UBN's birthday fund. I tell you what, UBN, you can have all of them, but the first one that I got today. I'm going to give them all to you except the first one. How's that? All right. Time for us to wrap it up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Facebook, like growing leaps and bounds. I mean, one of the shorts that I did, the Jeremiah Love short, I think got like 35,000 views or something on Facebook. Crazy. I don't get it. Whatever. Y'all can watch me wherever you want. Just subscribe, please. Please subscribe to the YouTube page, though. Don't forget that one. I want to thank today's guests, Zach Ewing, Gabe Henderson. Happy birthday, boy, UBN. And you are always our guest. We love you. You're not just our guest, you're our family. On Friday, we welcome you back because our guest is, it's been a while since Larry Holder's been on this show. I meant to go look it up and find out when it was, but it's been a while. Larry Holder will be back on the show. We're going to have some fun. Of course, we will talk Saints, but we're just basically just going to have some fun. I'll probably razz them a little bit because that's what I do. Oh, by the way, you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And if you don't like what the groundhog had to say and you don't like this cold weather, I love it, but it's going to be gone. And yes, it's going to be hot. And I fear this is our last cold snap until like November. So I'm trying to enjoy it. You go out and enjoy it as well because summer will be here soon enough. One more day until baby Brooks arrives, and we will show you some pictures on Friday. We will see you all then. And until then, take it easy, my friends.